Yeah, what's happening? We about to bring that action. Gotta hold it down for my Seattle Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. We going beneath the waves. Get it hype, step onto the ice. Ready for some action. Release the Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Beneath the Waves podcast, your weekly recap of all things Seattle hockey and beyond. I'm Matt.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Derek. I just wanted to say really quick, it is good to be back on the pod here. I wanted to thank both you, Matt, and you, Alex, for holding it down last week. Y'all did a great job, and it felt so weird not being able to jump in and add my 2 cents into all the different things you guys were talking about. So yeah, it's good to be back. Secondly, I wanted to shout out BTW's very own Heather, who has continued to knock it out of the park with her coverage of the Seattle Torrent for the Hockey News. Go check out her articles to stay up to date with all things Seattle Torrent. The link to go do that will be down below in our show notes as usual. And also stay tuned into Beneath the Waves for when Heather drops more Seattle Torrent coverage in an audio form for you all to enjoy. Back to you, Matthew.
Ugh, gross. No, I hate that. Not to an awful.
Government
I liked it
name.
better. I liked it better when you weren't here. Just kidding. Just
Just
kidding.
two Canadians.
Me too.
That was
Were
it.
you like yelling at your car stereo, listening to the
Like,
episode?
no, no.
This is a horrible take. What are you talking about?
We could have done a host commentary bonus episode where it's just you reacting to the podcast.
Let's start the Patreon. That'll be the first thing we put on
There
there.
we go.
It would
The
just
pod-
felt like Derek reacts.
Yeah, the podcast within the podcast. All right, for us here, we are on to now episode 52 of the BTW pod. On this week's episode, we're going to catch up on the last week of games. We'll check in on all of the Kraken news. We're going to complete our quarter two performance reviews in the second iteration of Studs and Duds. And we're going to look at a preview of the week ahead. But as we always kick things off after we introduce ourselves, it is time to money puck around and find out. And we're in a much better spot this week, are we not, Alex?
We are absolutely in a completely different spot than I think any of us could have foreseen. I think we're being honest with this. The Seattle Kraken are sitting at a 62.8% chance of securing a playoff spot. We're almost nearing middle of January. It's an impressive place to be right now, being the Seattle Kraken. We definitely went on a run, which definitely helped those numbers, but we're definitely looking at a spot now in the standings where we'd be looking to add instead of looking to offload. So I think that's something to be positive about. The chances of us securing the first overall pick is now at 2%. So if I'm J-Bots, I think the fan base is starting to, optimistically lean into the fact that this team could possibly secure a wild card spot or even, win the division. That's still up for debate. So there's a lot to be positive about. And I think there's a lots of discussions going in the back room to determine what this team is going to be moving forward.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, great points. The Central really just kind of falls off after the top three, so it's looking really good for our potential wildcard spot. A few days ago, I looked at it was like the Predators were like fourth and would be like seventh in the Pacific, and I'm like, dude, what is going on? Very top heavy. And then Money Puck has us at about 90 points projected, so it's looking like we're either going to make the playoffs or right around the middle of the pack of the teams that don't. The Money Puck power rankings also have us as the 19th best team now. I don't know if you guys remember, but like a couple weeks ago, they had us as like the 30th, the 31st. We still have absolutely atrocious scoring chance numbers on Money Puck, but really, really great goaltending numbers there that have kind of fueled that. So looking great.
All right, and the team was looking pretty great this last week. Unfortunately, had a little fall off yesterday in the game that was played. We are currently standing at a record of 20 wins, 15 losses, and 8 overtime losses, which, as we just said, has us in the wild card one position as of right now when we're recording. These 4 games we had in this last week had a 5-1 win over the Flames, a 7-4 win over the Bruins, a 3-2 overtime loss to the Wild, and last night a heartbreaking 3-2 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. In the midst of this run of games, the team has actually now achieved its second highest point streak in franchise history. When they got to 10 games, it was 8-0-2 until we dropped that game yesterday. Just for reference, the highest in franchise history was 13 games in the 23-24 season. So it was largely a good week last week. How are we feeling about how the Kraken did?
I'm pretty sure I called the exact record. I like when we talked about it in last week's pod. I'm pretty sure I said 2-1-1, but I reversed who we were going to get slapped by. I said we were going to get slapped by the Wild, opposed to going to overtime and losing to the Hurricanes. But the fact that we were able to, if I break down these games, we completely outplayed the Flames, like in every sense of the word. So that was a deserving win. The Bruins game was one of those games where I had no expectation that was going to happen. And so to come out of the game against Boston victorious and scoring 7 goals, I was genuinely shocked. But we always seem to play really well against Boston, and I don't know why. The Wild game was the game that I was very surprised with, but very happy to see the outcome. Sure, we lost in overtime. Like it was going to happen eventually, but the fact that we took the Minnesota Wild to overtime and the way that we played that game, like that was a full 60-minute game. Like we're competing against one of the best teams in the NHL, and the Kraken did great. Like yeah, there was a couple of mistakes here and there, but you're always going to have that in the game. So I was pleasantly surprised with that. The Carolina Hurricane game, 12 shots on net. What the hell? That's all I can really say about that. Losing it at the last moment, yeah, it sucks, but that streak was about to run out eventually. It's just a shame that we couldn't bring that game to overtime at least.
Yeah. I think a really good point you just made is that we are competing in each of these games. Absolutely. Even when you break it down on the expected goals, like we're posting, the same amount or more. For a lot of different things that we're going to talk about, we can kind of put the Hurricanes game off to the side because it kind of goes against everything in the last like 2 weeks or whatever. Definitely still a thing, right? But I'm glad that our like cooling off was like a 3-2 loss to like one of the best teams in the NHL. That's not like horrible. Obviously, the underlying the 12 shots is horrible. But you look at it, we're out Eberle, we're out Stevenson for that game. So we could talk about it later. But I just wanted to say we're sitting in a really good spot right now in terms of my vibe check. 8-1-2, like you were talking about, Matt, in the last 11 games. The table's definitely set for a potential playoff push, maybe acquiring someone like Alex was saying. And it's really thanks to our goaltending thus far. And our defense has kind of climbed back to being around near average, but our offense is still last in the league. And that's something we've harped on the entire year. It has been kind of heating up lately, though. Beniers, McCann back in the lineup. Tolvanen popping off a couple weeks ago up into now. Yeah, even Melanson. There's just a lot of good stuff going on offensively lately. So if you're a Kraken fan, like you should be very, very hopeful about the coming weeks, I think, because it feels like something's heating up and the ceiling's about to pop and we're about to start going on a tear. Goaltending and defense has like clawed us back into this, helped us to have such bad offense and still be in such a good position. But it's time for the hockey gods to give us some more pucks going into the net. Because a lot of the guys deserve it and they're just not cashing in. But on this team, we have a lot of better than average shooting talent and more expected goals are being generated each game. So yeah, I love what we've been seeing lately. That's my vibe check.
Yeah, as I look at our current place in the standings, I can't help but like in black and white with sad music and like a rainfall overlay, think back to the month of December and how horribly we did and how much better we could have been in a position right now if we just turned around even like 2 or 3 of those games would have been huge. But we always seem to have a stinker month somewhere. But I'm glad that at least our January is off to a stronger start here. Definitely have some big showings starting to happen now, as you said. Matty Beniers is just on like a highlight reel streak as of recently, just absolutely disgusting. His goal that he had against the Hurricanes game Derek, do you remember the phrases that you said when you filled me in that this goal happened?
It was disgusting. I think I said it was ooey ooey and like really yucky or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
it gross, really yucky, and I'm just like, oh
yeah,
my
it was
god. And then I
just
washed it after it was out for dinner. It was crazy. Berkeley Catton is starting to pop off, like we said. As soon as he got that goal last week, the floodgates are open, and this kid just, I don't know, the monkey's off his back, weight's off his shoulders, and he's feeling good now. The Hurricanes game, I couldn't help but think back to our Cracktivist episode and a little grievance I had about our blue line and some of the gaffes they make that screw things up. And then you look at the three goals against in that Hurricanes game, and we have another gross turnover by Vince Dunn. We have Adam Larson getting sucked behind the net, pulled out of position, and then the goal goes in. And then you have Ryan Lindgren bulldozing some Carolina schmuck into Joey so he can't make that save. And then we have to burn a timeout because we're waiting to see if there was interference or not, and there wasn't because it was just this big oaf coming through and shoving people around. And it's like, man, like copy paste my comments from 2 weeks ago because that's still how I'm feeling that these guys are still kind of making me a little grumpy. But in the grand scheme, like you were saying, Derek, and I'm sure you have all the numbers in the world to back it up. Our defense keeps bailing us out and keeps doing good things. I can't wait. Hopefully soon, fingers crossed, please. Brandon Montour comes back soon. Even in that, one thing I'll say is like Kill Fleury has had a really good stint coming up. He had that goal a few weeks ago, and he just seems to be, I don't know, finding his feet underneath him as he starts playing in more consistent games because he spent a whole lot of time either on an airplane or in a press box. So good to see him getting some time and actually doing decently.
yeah, absolutely. Every time I've seen him, I'm like, yeah, he definitely fits in, which it has not always been the case. So I'm glad that that's the way things are going this year. I also just have to say, I find it super funny to imagine you like watching a Kraken game and just hyper fixating on the defenseman like the entire time. Wait, like, just, "Ooh, who's gonna mess up next?"
Well, it's not hard to
like
hyper fixate on them when it's always surrounding when a goal occurs.
no, I
It's
mean,
pretty
hey, they do
noteworthy
need
event.
they need to impress you, okay? And they're about to. So just keep
They
watching
do.
them. They'll impress you. It'll
All
come.
right. Adam Larson hat trick coming tomorrow against the Rangers. Just you wait and see.
Hey, they got absolutely dummied by the Bruins, so it's definitely going to happen.
All right. Well, let's hope so. As we get into our usual specific topics around this week, we're going to open, as always, with our injury updates. We start off with Jaden Schwartz making his return to the lineup in that game with the Hurricanes after missing 19 games. What was our reaction when we saw that tweet come through from Seattle Kraken PR that he was reactivated?
Quite happy. He's the goal scoring caliber player that we need desperately. Definitely not up to the same caliber that he normally is at, but that's understandable. So, but getting that goal scoring threat back in the lineup is going to be key for this next second half of the season. Whether that be, the lead up to the Olympic break or, afterwards, we definitely need, his goal scoring prowess to lead this team to a possible playoff spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I would to make a reference back to the streaming days of the BTW pod. I would say that now that Schwartz is back, we are going places. Okay. Um, he's only played in 24 of the 43 games this year. And in those 24 games, he has 8 goals, like Alex was saying. So that means he would have around 14 goals if he kept that pace, which would be second on the Kraken to only Eberle, who has 15. Huge addition, and really, really pumped and excited to see Prime Shui back in action.
Didn't he have like a really nasty breakaway yesterday that he almost cashed in on?
Yeah,
Yep.
he did.
Ugh, that would have been
I think I
sweet.
texted you about that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just went over the net, but
Shoot. Well, hopefully he gets his rhythm back soon. You just mentioned him. Jordan Eberle has been kind of a mystery lately. He's missed the last 2 games due to what's been called an upper body injury. As a result of this, OFM Oscar Fisker Molgard came up from Coachella Valley as a just in case, sitting up in the box. And Jordan Eberle has been practicing, and Lambert said he was a game time decision yesterday, so he just about made the cut to play yesterday. So hopefully we'll see him back soon. It doesn't seem like it's anything too super duper serious, but I definitely think that was a pretty key piece missing yesterday.
Well, he's your leading goal scorer on the team. So, without him, your leader as well, it's a huge blow to the team. But I think OFM, getting the call up is huge. And it's just not OFM now. It's Mr. Olympian because, he is now officially been announced for his nation. So hopefully, that might give him like an extra boost. Like I'm really hoping that when he goes to play in the Olympics, that might like elevate his game even further. That you can maybe even see him slot into the lineup after the break. But yeah, Jordan Eberle. Hopefully this isn't too bad. Like hopefully it's not one of those like, oh yeah, it's an upper body injury and he's day to day. But it goes on for like a week and a half. We're like, okay, what's his upper body injury? Because I don't know about you, but the Kraken seem to love telling us about upper body injuries and then not specifying what that upper body injury. Be like, yeah, but he's day to day. He's day to day, guys. Be like, yeah, but he's been day to day for 3.5 weeks. What the hell's going on? And then you're like, oh yeah, he broke his clavicle. And you're like, oh, good to know. How long is he out? 6 months. Good to know. Okay, great, guys. But let's
Yeah,
let's hope let's hope
I
he's
think I
back.
tweeted out that I hope that upper body injury is what we're calling a head cold now, and then he'll just
Seriously,
shake it off and come back with some NyQuil or something.
seriously.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, we were literally just talking about getting Schwartz back and what that means and stuff, and it feels like how this season's kind of gone, especially with the start that we had, where just like one guy out, one guy in type thing, and I really hope it's not that. I hope Eberle's back really, really fast, but right now, like we have prime Matty Beniers, prime McCann, they're all buzzing right now. Prime like Eberle is buzzing as well. Um, tied for leading in points at 28 with Beniers and our leading goal scorer with 15. And right at that moment where we're making that playoff push. So the push has got to continue. The push must go on. We need Eberle back. Cannot afford this.
And lastly, it's not an injury update, but we were without one key piece in that Hurricanes game, that being Chandler, the Chan man, Stevenson, who missed the game to be back with his wife Tasha for the birth of their third child. So big time congrats to the Stevies. I really hope that somewhere in Berkeley Catton's like billet contract for living with them that there is babysitting duties required in there, and we can get some KHN special about how the Stevensons get a night out on the town, and it's Berkeley Catton taking care of three kids.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, congrats to Stevie and the fam, Chan Man and the fam. And yeah, another one of our top producers this year. So please, sir, spend some quality time with your baby, but get that kid some headphones and glass seats to the next game. And no, I'm just kidding. Take your time, and the non-empty calorie goal scorers will hold it down in your stead. So you're all good.
Next, we always look into our goalie updates. They were split in the four games that we had last week. Joey played against Boston, Carolina, and Drew played against Calgary and Minnesota. Derek, you're always a stats man, the numbers wizard. What did the last week look like for these two guys?
Yeah, so for Joey, he played against Boston. He had 36 shots against and 32 saves with a .889 save percentage with 4 goals against. And then he played against Carolina yesterday, had 34 shots against, 31 saves, and a 912, and with 3 goals against. Grew played Calgary and had 41 saves of 42 shots against with a 976 percentage and 1 goal against. And funnily enough, the Minnesota game that happened right before the Carolina game, he had the exact same stat line as Joey Decords last night with 31 saves on 34 shots with a 912 save percentage and 3 goals against. I just want to say, like, I'm super glad for these performances. And Matt, you sent me that tweet by was it NHL to Seattle
I
who
think so, yeah.
posted? Yeah. Where they were talking about Philip Grubauer's goals saved above expected per 60 numbers. So I'm glad those are being talked about out in the open, and I'm glad I'm not like crazy for using those in like every single podcast we record. And this week is no different. Grubauer is second in the league right now for goals saved above expected with a minimum of 10 games played, and Joey Decord is 32nd. The 50-50 split is kind of now in full effect with Decord and Grubauer literally just taking turns alternating starting games. And boy, howdy, has it been exactly what both of these goaltenders have needed. Grubauer has been posting Vezina numbers, as I just recapped, consistently over the past few weeks, and Decord has gotten the much needed rest and recovery that he's needed, and he's finding his rhythm again. We have one of the best tandems in the league now. Per Money Puck, we have the 7th best goaltending in the league. So super good, especially if we somehow claw into the playoffs. Huge aspect of the games. Um, and that's a massive season. Like we've been saying for our midseason turnaround is just how spectacularly these two gentle sirs have been playing. Especially my boy Philly Grewsteak. I mean, he's just having the time of his life right now. Having the year of his career, bro. From behind the court, and it's so awesome to see. Since day one of the franchise, I've just wanted Grubauer to be so good, and for so long it wasn't really a thing. And right now, it's like sustained excellence, and it's just amazing to see.
Yeah, last week my resolution for the rest of the season was that I was never going to dog on Phil Grubauer and just like moan and groan about him. And I'm so glad that this week he put up the numbers that he did, and I didn't have to immediately have my commitment to that resolution tested because dude's been unreal. I'm glad that after 4 seasons, he's woken up and he's ready to go. And I hope he can continue this on. And like you said, the back and forth is really good too, because we're not getting these guys burnt out, run into the ground. They get a little bit of a break. If they get super hot, maybe we stretch them a few in a row, but we're at a point where we don't have to play Joey for 8 games in a row and be like, oh man, now we got to go to Gru. We can be like when I see the Mike Benton tweet saying so and so was first off the ice, I now feel in a good spot, being like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
Instead of doom and gloom.
100%. And something that's actually kind of funny and interesting about that is that in the Minnesota game, I don't know if did you watch that game, Matt?
Which one?
The Minnesota game that we lost in
Yes.
overtime. So
Yeah.
3 shots into the game, Grew allowed the first goal, and then 7 shots into the game, he allowed the second goal. But then he went the next 26 shots without allowing a goal, and then allowed one in overtime. But yeah, so it seemed like I was working that game, and I was like, oh no, no, old Grew is back. No, we're 7 shots in, down 2 goals. No. But he closed that one out despite having a horrendous start, which is just says so much about his composure right now and how he feels. So that's good.
The other thing I love to echo though is I think one of the biggest things is that having two goaltenders that can both compete is so good for your team, but also great. And you've both mentioned it for like the rest that both these goaltenders can have now. Like I think last season, the reason why we burnt out so quickly, like in the second half of the season, was because Decord was like, my legs aren't working, my arms aren't working. I'm too tired. Let me just curl up and die. Whereas like now, like, Lambert's really been able to be like, okay, like Joey's tired tonight. I'm going to put Grew in and I trust Grew. And, like maybe I have to ride him 2 games, but like at the end of the day, like if I need to throw Joey in, it's not going to be like, oh, I'm throwing my backup in. Like this is the tandem we've been asking for since the inaugural season. And it's finally come to fruition. How much I've criticized, Grubauer over the last couple of years. And I even said it last pod, there's nothing negative about his game this season. Like you can't pick it apart. And just like Matt said, like one of my the thing that I was going to look at this season, like my New Year's resolution, so to speak, for the Kraken was to support the goaltending no matter what. Because for myself, like I am such a critic. I'm such a critic when it comes to like goaltending, and I know they're voodoo, but at the same time, I'm like, guys, you got to have that shot. Like that's pathetic. Like I've been watching them, both of them, all season, and then especially, into the new year. And you really can't pick apart either of their games. If you have two goaltenders like this, like you mentioned, Derek, where they go into the playoffs with two hot goaltenders that can play any game, that's something that a lot of teams need to be careful and be wary of. Because if you get, one hot goaltender, but if you get two hot goaltenders, like that can lead you far into the playoffs, especially if this team decides to jump into the trade, into a trade here and there to pick up a couple of offensive pieces. This team could be something different that we could be looking at later on this season.
The jaw-dropping moments that make hockey. Experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me state. And new customers, this one is just for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright NHL 2025. All rights reserved. We got a lot in the milestone segment this week. It was a very big, very exciting week for the Seattle Kraken. Starting off with, we mentioned this earlier, a new record has been set as in the game against the Carolina Hurricanes on Saturday. The Seattle Kraken set a new franchise low for the fewest shots taken on goal in a game at 12. It was only like a couple months ago we got to 13. I think it was against the Rangers. And we're like, surely it can't get worse than this. Well, guess what? It did. And yeah, I was flabbergasted when I saw that shot count yesterday.
Hey, at least we didn't do a live stream and decide that every shot like went to proceeds, because
Yeah.
like we'd be sitting there pleading at this point to be like 12 shots. Are you kidding me? I didn't think it was ever going to get worse than the original record. Watching that game was so bad, being like, really 12 shots?
Was the
12
last record
shots?
17 or what was it?
It was
13.
13.
Oh, 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, 12 shots is it's pretty bad. The fact that we only lost by one and we lost in the last couple minutes is even more shocking. Like, yeah. Hopefully this is just a glitch in the matrix and we don't see this again.
Oh God, I hope so.
Ugh, I just feel like we've had a lot of games with very low shot counts. Just it's not conducive to anything good. But yeah, it's just the one off. Yeah.
Next, a guy that we've been super hyped about over the last few weeks, Jacob Melanson, has scored his first NHL goal of his career on Monday against the Calgary Flames. This was the absolute cherry on top of his 4-game point streak that he was on. Derek, I know you were looking at some other stats that belong to him as well about how he's been doing.
Yeah, so I have two things that I want to talk about with Melanson. So the first is that he's averaging 4.4 hits per game. And like, so Tolvanen is the hit leader on our team, and he has a rate of about 2.5 per game. So that's for context. If Melanson had played every single game this year, he'd be third in the league in hits. So he's absolutely throwing the body out there like nobody's business, and it's great to see because obviously we have guys that do that, but not at that rate. He's just an absolute not sledgehammer. He's an absolute wrecking ball out there. And the second stat I wanted to bring up is he's up there with our top guys at 7th place on the Kraken, with 0.8 expected goals for himself personally per 60 minutes of play. So he's been generating a lot of offense as well. So that's freaking awesome to see. Like that's a crazy combo that he's throwing the body like that. It kind of reminds me, like we were talking about, Matt, of Tolvanen, where he's like generating all that offense, and behind the scenes he's also just throwing the body left and right. Melanson's throwing the body like twice as much as him, and also up there with our top guys in terms of expected goal generation. So really, really awesome to see out of Melanson in his first 10 to 15 games or whatever.
Yeah, his first actual stint.
Yeah, for the team. Yeah.
I also gotta say, you got to feel good about that too, coming out of a 5th rounder. Like, I don't feel you often have lots of 5th round success stories, so that's a pretty exciting thing too.
Anything after like the 4th round, like I would say 4th, 5th round, it's like something like if someone comes out from there and you're like, oh, this is impressive, like it's always like a great story. But with Melly, I think the other thing is that he's brought something to the 4th line that we've been missing. Like he's brought a fire, like whether it be like Myers or Karche or Winterton, like that line just seems to really have developed into this positive line for the Kraken. Like doesn't matter who's on that line during what game, like whenever they're out there, that they're going to contribute in a positive way.
Also in that Monday game against the Flames. It marked Jordan Eberle's 1100th NHL game of his career. Obviously delayed in hitting that point after missing so many games last year. But it seems like just yesterday he was being debated if he was going to get traded or re-signed, and then the next day had his 1000th game. And yeah, it's just nice to have him having hung around for another 100 games since that.
Do you know what's weird to think is that I remember his first NHL game, and at this point I'm like, okay, I'm old. Like, as I remember Jordan Eberle's first NHL
Yeah.
game, and I
Yeah, you're
remember him
old.
when he played for the World Juniors. So the fact that he's played 1100 games, I'm like, oh, good God. Like, has it been that long already?
And then lastly from Monday's game, Adam Larson's assist to Vince Dunn's goal marked his 250th NHL point. So in those, my favorite thing after the wins is refreshing YouTube and waiting for the F1 helmet videos to come out. And Lane Lambert made a remark in one of the last one. He's like, "Oh, I'm giving out so many pucks every single day and just chucking them out." And I love just how many little milestones we're hitting week to week. We haven't had a dead segment in this part in quite some time. So 250 assists or 250 points, pardon me. That's a pretty good thing from that bum who I dunked on earlier. Next up, Tuesday's game against the Bruins was highlighted by Berkeley Catton finally getting his first and second goals in the NHL. I jumped off my couch for this. It was so exciting. It's nice to see Berkeley Catton finally break through and get that first goal, get his first puck for his first goal.
Yeah, absolutely electric. I was at that game, and it was crazy. We were all in like hat trick watch for him, like it was so sick. But yeah,
Seeing Canner's reaction, I think was the best when it happened was because like, and I think he mentioned it after the game that he said that he's been in the same spot that Catton's been in, where he's just like trying to get that goal when he was younger. So really awesome to see like that leadership, like it's that quiet leadership with Canner, like where he's like, I'm here to support. And he was just so excited. But seeing Catton's face being like, finally, and it really didn't take much longer for him to go like, oh, I'm going to score a second goal, which was an absolute
His
beauty.
second one was
Oh,
filthy.
just filthy.
disgusting.
And then he scored again, and I'm like, okay, that's 3 goals. Like he's been unleashed. Like the NHL doesn't know. Like he just completely tore apart the WHL last season. Like okay, it's the NHL's time for this. The cat and watch has been in full effect now.
But he's too small. He's too
Ugh.
small.
No, it's so zippy. And
Exactly.
I love that bringing up about Jared McCann because even though he's not the oldest guy on the team, he definitely has like team dad vibes. And I think back to Riker Evans' first goal, and he was the first one over there to give him a hug. And you watch the video of when they're eating the fish at the end, and Berkeley Catton comes up to throw his, and Jared McCann like slaps him on the ass and just has the biggest smile on his face. So it's got to feel real good for him too. So that's awesome. On that Catton's second goal, Capo Caco hit his 100th NHL assist, so another juicy milestone there. Would love to see maybe some more goals out of Mr. Caco, but hey, we know from like Chandler Stevenson, for example, you can't hate on assists. Silent nodding is great for an audio format.
Yeah, Caco's gotta start producing goals. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep.
And
No, I was just saying, yep. Yeah. The amount of games that Kako's played, like I assumed he had more than 100 assists. So I'm just gonna
Yep.
say that.
Yep. Disappointed with that milestone.
Yeah, it's a lackluster one in my opinion. Like
Boo.
406 games played, 75 goals, 100 assists.
yeah, not impressed with that. Like I know he's
Yeah.
what was it, a second overall pick? Like
Second
that's
Second
overall.
overall.
yeah, I know
Ugh.
he played on the Rangers and I know the Rangers suck, but like just no, I'm not impressed.
Frick, just give us Will Borgen back.
For real.
Let's not
And
start that again.
and our last Kraken related milestone was Ben Myers, who has been on that fourth line, the Calamari crew, absolutely popping off, played in his 100th NHL game on Saturday against the Carolina Hurricanes. So he's another guy who's been, up and down and up and down and up and down. So it's nice seeing him get some time here.
Yeah, Ben Myers is a name that I've heard a lot of people like impressed with him. Like, dang, like Ben Myers is definitely holding his own in the stint that he's currently on, and I think that's great. I didn't realize he had played 100 games, but is he like 27 or 28 or something?
27.
Just 27.
27.
He's a
Yeah, so that
Lambert
makes
guy.
sense.
Like
Yeah.
he's a Lambert guy like through and through. He plays so well in that fourth line. I definitely didn't see him being a fourth line guy on the team at the start of the year, but I think he's cemented himself as fourth line center now.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's awesome. And then lastly, Alex touched on one of these before, but we had a whole bunch of Olympic updates happen this week on the women's side. We had a couple Torrent making Olympic crews. We have Anita Terelova being named to Team Czechia. Julia Gosling Goose has been named to Team Canada, and the four pack of Hillary Knight, Hannah Bilka, Alex Carpenter, and Kayla Barnes are in the lineup for Team USA. Derek, how are you feeling about your national squad with those four?
I feel great. Specifically, Bilka is just disgusting. And I know you'd be dying to have her on. What country do you live in again?
I'm up in Canada.
Yeah, I know you'd be dying to have Hannah Bilka on your team, so that's the only one I want to flex on you. But
I
yeah,
mean,
super
Julia
pumped.
Gosling's nothing to scoff at. She's been pretty strong for the Torrent.
I'm
First
scoffing.
first goal in Torrent history. More goals than Hannah Bilka on
That's
the Torrent.
valid. But when you watch Hannah Bilka, you just know. It's like the
Yeah,
eye test. Yeah.
yeah. And then Aneta Terlova is going to just flatten people for Team Czechia because she's just an absolute freight train out there. Made her
Yeah.
comeback today, and I was just waiting for her to level somebody else. Alex mentioned it before, Coachella Valley Firebird slash Seattle Kraken press box dweller Oscar Fisker Molgaard was named to Team Denmark for the Olympics. Philip Grubauer, unsurprisingly, was named one of the goaltenders for Team Germany. And Capo Caco and Eli Tolvanen will suit up for Team Finland. So we got a couple guys going over there to represent their countries, and we got a whole bunch of guys taking 2 weeks off to rest up and heal up some bumps and bruises.
I'm officially cheering for Team Germany. I don't know about you guys.
Canada, 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 Canada.
Boo.
We'll see. Hey,
Four nations say what?
who finished higher at the World Juniors like a week ago? Was it Canada or the US? Pretty
Wait,
sure
World
US.
World Juniors, or are we talking
Yeah.
about pros or the little
Well,
guys?
you know.
We still beat
Hey,
you
Oh.
at the
hey.
we still
Oh,
beat you at the
okay.
Four Nations
Wait, are we
last
talking about
year.
game one or game two?
We got gold, so we still won. So like
What about the
First.
first game though?
All right, our last segment for this week. We did it a few weeks ago, but we are through another quarter of the season. So we're going to do our Q2 performance reviews. As we called it last time, studs and duds. We are going to offer up one guy that we are wanting to highlight for their performance recently, and one player who we definitely want to see more out of. Who wants to kick things off with their stud of the quarter? Oh, Alex has his hand up. Go ahead.
I'm gonna shock everybody on this one. I'm going with Philip Grubauer. Exceeded my expectations in every single way, so he's my stud. Yeah, from the fact that I was talking about this guy being a buyout in the summer to potentially being a buyout in the offseason next year. The way he's been playing, there's no way. There's absolutely no way that you can even consider, buying out Philip Grubauer. You have the tandem that you've been wanting for, asking for since the inaugural season. So you got Grubauer playing at the level that he's been playing at, when he was on Colorado, when he was on Washington. He's doing that for Seattle now. Yeah, can't say a bad thing about him now. So, 4 years of criticism. Yeah, he finally said, shut up, let me play my game. It's a little bit of a send down to Coachella, figured it out down there and then came back and said, that Kraken Canada can shut the hell up. I'm going to prove him wrong. And guess what? He shut me up and he proved me wrong. So my stud of Q2 for the Seattle Kraken is the one and only Philip Grubauer.
Okay, this is 100% my favorite episode ever that we've ever done. That's the best line I've ever heard. I want that entire. I'm just gonna replay that over and over and over again. That was amazing. My stud. Or are we doing his dud, or are we
No, we'll
going
do all
stud?
the good
Okay,
guys first.
my stud is a pretty obvious one as well. It's Jared McCann. He's only played in 19 games this year, and he has 15 points. He would lead the team right now with 34 points if he had played every game this season at this rate. His goal scoring continues to be unmatched by anyone else and continues to have unlimited potential. He has a team leading whopping 22% above average shooting talent per money puck. He has 8 goals in 19 games, and this would be 34 goals almost 35 in a full 82 game season playing at this level. When he's healthy, he's our biggest forward stud, one of our most valuable players, and our most efficient and effective sniper. So yeah, McCann is the GOAT.
And I hope to God they don't trade him because he's been linked to many trade talks. So please keep him.
It's been traded linked to many trade talks for years now, so I'm gonna just hopefully keep hoping that that's just not gonna come to fruition. We'll have to see. My stud, I'm gonna go maybe a little like underrated. I was very close. I think like Berkeley Catton has potential for like a Q3 stud in the next review that we do. He's like knocking on the door there now. I think that'd be recency bias if I picked him. I feel Derek's stats things are going to pick some holes in the guy that I'm putting up, but I think a really underrated stud guy that we have is Freddie Goudreau, because I just love how flexible that guy has been through this season. He starts off playing fourth line center, and then somebody gets hurt and he moves up to third line wing, and then something else happens and he goes to the second line wing, and he's filling in on the penalty kill. And it's just, I feel like he's always just zipping and buzzing around out there. And he has 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 points on 30 games played. So not, star making numbers or anything like that, but I think he's doing little things that make a cumulative big contribution to this team.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like you were saying in terms of stats, I think he has like, I think I said he has like 1.5 or something expected goals per 60 minutes when he's on the ice for the team, and like 4.0 against when he's on the ice. But that's a really good point that he is constantly moving around. He's kind of like a utility guy out there. So I think that's a valid stud. The eye test, I completely agree with you. He's always zipping around out there. Shootout stud, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good stud. Good stud.
Good stuff.
And
Good
you can
stuff.
utilize him up and down the lineup. I always thought he was going to be a fourth line player, but he's more useful, up and down that lineup, which is a nice piece to have, especially when you have countless injuries.
Yeah. He's our French Canadian army knife instead of our Swiss army knife. Okay. Duds. Guys who are total stinkers, and then we need to have step up their game. Where are we falling here?
So I'm gonna keep the same guy that I had my Q1. It's gonna be Shane Wright. 43 games played, 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points. He has the same amount of points as Jared McCann. Jared McCann's been out half the season. Schwartz has been out half the season with 15 points. We've been screaming and asking for goal scoring. We know Shane Wright can do it, and he has just not done it. I don't care where he's playing in the lineup at this point. We've seen what he can do on the third line. We've seen what he can do on the second line, and we've seen what he can do on the very odd chances that he's got first line opportunities. I need to see better from him. What we're watching and what we're witnessing, it's just not good enough. 9 times out of 10, I don't even recognize him on the ice. And it's completely different from last season. We could call it the sophomore slump. That could be an option, but like, we know what he's capable of. I was screaming that he was going to get 25, 30 goals this season. We'd be lucky if he hit 15. And that's where we're at now. So, he needs to do better. And that's why he's my dud for the second time in a row.
Just you wait. As soon as my 51 Abyss jersey comes in the mail on February 2nd or whenever it's anticipated, that's when it'll start popping off. Be like, oh, a guy ordered my jersey. I got to start performing for him. I will say with him, one thing I do like is the combo of him and Canner and Catton. I think they're going to gel together really nice and have lots of chemistry between them. So just hoping that they get more chances once we have to stop shuffling so much for injuries. But yeah, definitely want to see a little more out of him. Derek, who is your dud?
My dud is Ty Cartier. He's played 37 games, and in all honesty, just seems to be a worse version of Jacob Melanson in every facet of the game. I don't mean to complain too much about him because the team isn't paying him that much. The expectations aren't that high. And honestly, this isn't really like a dud rather than like another stud kind of in Melanson, because there isn't a lot to complain about throughout the lineup right now. But I did say the same thing when Tanev was leaving, that Cartier was just like a cheaper version of exactly what Tanev did. And that's kind of how I feel with Melanson. He's just like a cheaper version of what Cartier is doing. But for Melanson, I think this is much different because, like I was mentioning earlier with the hits, Cartier's second, but has so many more games played than Melanson. And Melanson clearly outpaces Cartier in the hits category. But another place is the expected goals for per 60 minutes of play. I mentioned earlier that Melanson was at zero point 0.8, which was seventh on our team, so up there with like our top players. Cartier is dead last among forwards and pretty close to our defensemen with zero point 0.4 expected goals for per 60 minutes of play. So pretty bad there. Um, Double the amount of individual offensive output for Melanson than Cartier. And I don't need to tell you guys that offensive output is at a premium. So that's something we should be looking at 100%. The icing on the cake here is that Cartier's 7 points in 37 games gives him 0.19 points per game. And Melanson's 4 in 14 games gives him 0.29 points per game, with signs of heating up with his recent point streak that we were talking about earlier, his first goal, and those expected goal numbers like I was talking about. All I'm saying here is that if the decision is ever, do we send down Cartier or do we send down Melanson? I think there's an obvious choice.
I think so too. That's a very good point. Okay, so you're both repeating your last quarter, so clearly they didn't get the message last time around. I could dog on the defense again, like how I just loathed Ryan Lindgren last quarter when we did the reviews, but I already kind of talked about that earlier, so I don't want to harp on them once again. So I'm going to throw like a mild dud, like it's a lowercase dud. Like Ryan Lindgren was capital D, capital U, capital D. This one's gonna be lowercase, and we talked about it before. Just Capo Caco, I want to see a little more of. Yes, he's already been IR'd twice this season, which is really unfortunate. He had that broken hand at the start of the season, and then whatever lower body injury happened later in the season. He has 4 goals, 10 assists in 27 games. So hopefully he starts to warm up and make things happen. He's playing on the top line with, or at least he was playing on the top line with Jordan Eberle and Matty Beniers, and they were gelling together well. We'll see. Now that people are starting to come back from those injuries, there's going to be a lot of jostling around for positions. Like we just got to wait for when Stevie comes back. That's going to cause a chain reaction of things falling. Who gets bumped? Who gets shuffled from line 1 to line 3? All that kind of stuff. So I just hope that he gets a little more consistent in the next 20 games or whatever until we record the next performance review. So again, a very mild dud status to Capo Caco in my books. Before we move into preview the things ahead, Derek, we didn't have this segment last week, even though I could have asked Alex to like give a story about the snow that fell in his driveway and him having to break out the shovel. But we don't want to hear about that. We want to hear about your shovel stories. Do you have anything from the last week of games?
Yeah, so I worked the Boston game and then the Minnesota game. So for the Boston game, we were wearing the Kraken were wearing the Abyss jerseys, and obviously there was the curse and that was broken. But normally we wear like an all black getup as well. But that night we wore like our normal blues. So not taking credit for ending the curse, but kinda. Also, when I headed out there, this is actually an action-packed night. When I headed out there one time, Arvidsson was like looping around like super, super fast. And I look up and he has like both of his hands out and he's like right in front of my face, like we're about to collide. And I was like, dude, what are you? And he like tightly turns out of the way, but he was flying. And I just get jump scared by this dude like right in my face. And I was like, what in the world? So I lead the whole crew down. I turn back. This is on the same run and I'm leading like a group of 4 back along the boards, and the linesman comes over to pick up a puck that's like right next to where I'm about to be. He picks it up, and his like momentum is clearly gonna make him run into me. So I like stop the whole entire line. I like let go of the shovel, jump out of the way, and the linesman is like right next to me. I'm like, dude, like, and then he gives me like a dirty look, and I'm like, what are you doing? So that was insane as well. In terms of the Minnesota game, all I wanted to say is that the entire Icebreakers, the ice shoveling team, we all decked out our shovels with Pride tape because it was Pride Night, and that was so sick. We actually got to like add some color to our shovels and support Pride Night, so that was really cool. Yeah, so it was a cool week.
Yeah, I can't believe that I didn't put this in our milestones, but you just reminded me because they're all just blurring together at this point. It was a double curse breaking week this week in that we finally won in the Abyss jerseys. And not only that, that game where we won was the second game of a back to back. So I
Yep.
think the back to back curse has now been squashed because
Yeah.
that's been
Oh, it's gone.
three times
Yeah.
now this season. We've won the second game of back to back. So we can stop worrying about that one. I think if we get one more, like if our next Abyss Night is a win. I think that one's getting pretty close. Like it's got to be a little stretched out a little more, but we're on a good track with that double down night.
Yeah.
Double curse night. I was dreading that night, but yeah, it turned out good.
And I think it's safe to say that you can officially buy an Abyss jersey. Like if you're kind of teetering on the whole, like, should I buy one? Should I not? I think you can
Yeah.
buy one now because it's not a cursed jersey in the
We've
sense
won
that
a game.
we
They
have
are
not.
officially better than the
Yeah.
reverse retros. They
Yeah,
are
that thing's
officially
just
better.
like I said last week. That retro jersey's buried somewhere in my house, and it's just like, hello, can I come out now? You're like, no, you're cursed.
All right. Well, Alex, why don't you let us know what our week ahead looks like for not only the Kraken but also for the Torrent?
Absolutely. We are busy yet again for the Seattle Kraken this week. It continues, especially with that Olympic break coming up. So they got to slot as many games as they can as possible. This week we have 4 games. Monday, we are playing in New York against the Rangers. Then Wednesday, we go to New Jersey against the Devils. Thursday, we are in Boston against the Bruins. And finally, on Saturday, we are in Utah against the Mammoth, the place that will be hosting the next Winter Classic. So there's 4 games for there. And then the Torrent also have a game this week on Sunday, and they play against the Boston Fleet. I don't know how you're feeling about these next games coming up for both Seattle, the Kraken, and and the Torrent. But when it comes to the Kraken, I think they're going to go 4-0. Like I really
Oh,
like the
hate that.
Rangers are terrible. The Devils suck. Like they are
Okay,
like
did you say 4-0 or 0-4-0?
4-0. Like we're winning
Oh, I
all
definitely
I
four.
heard
heard
you say,
0 4 and 0.
yeah, okay, it wasn't
Oh,
just me.
sorry.
That's why we were
Sorry.
so gobsmacked.
4-0. The Rangers suck. The Devils suck. The Bruins, we just beat them, and we always play well against the Bruins. And then Utah's Utah. I definitely think we can take it to them in their own barn. So like let's go 4-0. We're doing this. And let's just keep it positive. The Torrent are gonna beat the Boston Fleet.
I think we go 2-1-1. I think we go to overtime against the Rangers and lose. I think we beat the Devils and Bruins, and I think we lose to the Mammoth in regulation. Um, and the Fleet are nasty. So, but I feel like every PWHL team is nasty. That's just kind of like my takeaway. So I don't even know. I feel like it can go either way.
Torrent were not nasty today. It was not a pretty game today. They lost 6-2.
Yeah, maybe every team except the Torrent are nasty. I don't know.
We'll see. I'm just like they're a third into their season now. I'm just waiting for them to click and start firing.
Gotta
And
click.
maybe that Olympic experience between those 4 that are going over for Team USA will get just a top shelf line of Bilka, Carpi, and Knight coming back and just they'll light the world on fire.
Bilka and
Um,
Knight gotta take it over. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Uh, I'm going 2-1-1. I think we overtime lose to the Bruins and lose to the Mammoth. So we'll see. Hopefully, we are more on Alex's side with going 4-0, not 0-4-0, 4-0, and I'm hoping for a Torrent bounce back too. So fingers crossed, all those can happen. One last roundup from Alex. What is our Coachella Valley update looking like for right now?
So I just want to say one more thing. I think this is Derek's favorite episode by far because I've been the most positive in 52 episodes tonight. So Derek's just
Exactly.
like, crank this up. I'm obsessed.
Oh, this is our year mark.
Kind of.
Yeah, 52. Yeah. The Brandon Montour episode.
He's 62.
Oh my God. Jesus.
This is the old Ty
Does
Cartier
does
episode.
bro even watch the games, bro?
Yeah, I do, but I'm just tired.
Just
Oh
kidding.
my God.
The former Ty Cartier episode.
You gotta add 10, man. Yeah, that was a struggle. We're just gonna erase that whole part.
Nope. Let's sing it in.
Nope. 0-4-0 and Brandon Montour
I
episode.
edit this show, so I get final say.
All right, well, we're gonna go. We're gonna go down to the desert for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. They're sitting seventh in the Pacific, with a record of 17, 12, and 4. Yager Furcus is still sitting on top of the leaderboard for the Firebirds this season. He's got 14 goals and 20 assists. So, doing his part down there in the AHL. They have a relatively busy schedule this week as well. They do play a back-to-back Tuesday and Wednesday away in Texas against the Stars. Then they play on Saturday away against the San Diego Gulls. And then finally, they're back at home on Sunday against the Abbotsford Canucks. So, 4 key matchups, 4 key games. So hopefully, they'll be able to get a couple more wins into the record book and, push themselves up that, that division standings, because they desperately need to get up there a little bit further.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. And that'll do it for this week. Derek, I'm so glad you are back, because I don't know, I feel like I underappreciated your closing pitch that you do at the end of every episode when it fell on me last week and I didn't have a poem prepared or anything like that. So I'm looking forward to that. But before we get to that point, can you let us know where people can find BTW online if they're looking to?
Yeah, absolutely. But first, go check out all of the dope merch that we've made. It's over at bit.ly/BTW store. I was actually wearing our Beneath the Waves logo, little sweatshirt I had, and the ice crew was like, "Oh my God, like that looks so sick. Where do I get that?" And I was like, bit.ly/BTW store. And they were all like taken aback. I'm like, yeah, I do this every week on the pod. But no, go over
like
there.
tape like a QR code to your back for people to scan. That just takes
real. We should like embed that in the merch. Okay. Also, go check out Heather's articles. The link is in the show notes as usual. You can follow at Heather Nicole with no E and at the Hockey News W to see more of her work, and keep your eyes on our podcast feed here to see when she drops more PWHL episodes. Also, please drop a follow and a 5-star review on the podcast app of your choice. Let us know if you're able to in like some sort of comment or whatever, if you heard Alex say 0-4-0 as well as us. And then I just wanted to say the push for playoffs is upon us, and it's time to crush any opponent who stands in our direction. So go drop a follow over at BTW SEA. Oh, I must say, I have had a long day. I don't think that rhymed in the proper way. Let me know over at BTW SEA. All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
It's like, dude, this one's ass. What is it? Oh, I got duped.
We going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.